So an interesting chapter of One Piece, I have to say, and we have Garp on the cover page, which is kind of cool. We haven't seen Garp since the Reverie, and I wonder if that's teasing something for the future, because he's the one escorting Shirahoshi all the way to Marajoa. But either way, this is all about, I guess, what's happening in the Flower Capital, and what's cool about this, we get to see Usopp, Franky, and Robin interact for the first time in Wano, so that was kind of cool. Notice how there's no Zoro anywhere. So he's an island to himself, much like Luffy. Well, technically Luffy's with Kid right now in prison, but Nami's with Shinobu. So technically Zoro's the only one without any guidance whatsoever. Brook is with Okiku. So and Chopper's obviously with the reindeer nurse patching up to Tama again. So questioning the gag we saw with Sanji cooking or Sangoro. Cooking soba for the women, the female samurai, what this is leading to. We saw the silhouette in the previous chapter. We got the reveal to that. And it starts off with them eating soba and Sanji in the background. So we get Sanji interacting with. This is the first time we've had a member of Team Hokkaido Island interact with someone from Team Wano. We had Sanji reunited with Robin, Franky, and Usopp. Last chapter we saw Nami pretty much with Shinobu, kind of referenced the fact that she saw Sanji cooking up for some girls, and he's not, and she was like ticked off because he's not trying to get a samurai at all. He's just like cooking for girls and that. So maybe we're going to see Nami little by little, the rest of the crew actually reunite, and maybe obviously Luffy being in prison is going to be the last one to join the crew. Zoro's by himself. We see Robin looking as glamorous as ever. Obviously makes a hell of a lot of difference, and hopefully we never have to see the look we saw in chapter 824. I hope we never have to see that look from Robin, Franky, Usopp, and most importantly Rob, because he's fighting all over the place. He's also preparing sober for all the female samurai again. It's just interesting. Robin's pretty much immediately asked about Luffy. Is he okay? I haven't heard anything in the news about him. So of course I'm not going to mention what's going on in prison right now because it's nothing but slave labor. Little do they know that Luffy right now, alongside Kid, is training in base. So a lot of people mention this, that Luffy and Kid are going to use this opportunity to get stronger. This is the training part of the arc where we wonder where this was coming in. Maybe this is going to last for 2 weeks because the fact that they mentioned that. So I think it was Usopp the one that said, there's nothing to worry about. Luffy will bust out there before you know it, which in my opinion is actually going to happen. But we know Rise is coming into town to actually do something about that. But whether or not it's going to succeed, especially with the calamities, I don't know. And speaking of which, a lot of people want to make the reference that Sanji's going to be the one to fight Queen, the Plague, the Calamity. And a lot of people want to make the reference that Zoro's going to face King because the second and third in command behind Kaido. So that makes sense in that regard. And it could be the way itself out. It usually is when it comes to an arc. So to get the introduction of the Kirishiro clan, the rest of them, and they pretty much reference to Sanji. You can't be doing this. You can't be cooking soba, at least not without paying the fee. And Sanji's like, why? And Robin immediately notices who the Kirishiro clan is because she was listening to Kirishiro as he was drunk. So Robin remembers the conversation that Kirishiro had with a child who had the soba knocked out of them, I believe by Suke. Sanji gets ticked off by this because number one, he's mistreating a girl. Number two, he's wasting food right in front of Sanji. And Franky's the one that said, of all the things you could have done to anger Sanji, that was the worst. I'm going to make you eat that, Mr. Customer. And I can only think this is a way of getting Sanji to interact with Kirishiro himself, because I'm going to mention the parallels in a minute, but he casually kicks, I believe it's Kuni, right in the face. Franky tags in, actually uses a suplex to stop him from falling into the building. And when I first saw this, my first interaction, and this is what I mean by parallels, I thought Sanji was going to end up in a similar situation that Zoro ended up in when it came to someone touching the sword that he got from Ryuma, and Zoro getting pissed off that he ended up with that small little knife, ended up slicing up a building and becoming a wanted man in Kuni, or at least in Wano. And I thought the same thing was going to happen here with Sanji, because he did kick somebody in the face, but I guess not. Robin's the one we might have crossed the wrong people here. So I'm wondering, is this going to lead to something? By the way, there's two different translations out of, I guess, chapter 927. We get introduced to the kid who had the soda spilled over, and apparently Toko. And what's interesting about this, Toko is pretty much a name reference a boy in Japan or a man in Japan, but she's going around announcing that she's a girl. So that's a gag, in my opinion. It could be a gag, and I've got speculation about Toko or this Murasaki, and we get introduced to by the end of this chapter. Partially, I'm a Kamuro, and I've got to get started because things are getting. Court-san are super pretty. You should watch. Usopp's a funny kid. Toko's such a bright girl. Obviously, coming from Robin, she's so cute. Much like we got the interaction with Robin back in Zoe. So there you go. You're fronting all over the place. And Franky, I believe it's the top player or the geisha that was playing alongside Robin when we first got to Wano. And then she comes up with a bunch of information about. I've searched all over the Flower Capital for you, and it pertains to when it comes to the Shogun Orochi, and essentially, Kutsans are Wano country's top idols, superstars. Exists but one. The name that chosen woman of Kumurasaki, and a man's dream, a woman's wish of refined upbringing, beauty enough to topple a nation. And in a different translation that I read, it mentioned a goddess. So now there was two different titles. In one translation, it said the Kumura-san. You're freaking out. And I put according to what this Kotsan says, the nobility of a god couldn't match truly the perfect woman. Such is the Kotsan Murasaki. Impossible. There's no way such a woman exists. And they get an invitation to see for yourself. So does that mean that Franky Ussop and Sanji are going to tag along with them? And I got a funny feeling Sanji may end up tagging along with it. Number one, obviously Sanji's going to be there because obviously it pertains with girls. Number two, we find out that Kira is also going to be heading there. And in this chapter, it's like, and Kotsan's procession heads towards his castle for that event. That child just now was a young two. They summoned you to the mansion. So they summoned Robin to the mansion of where the Shogun is. Castle, the Shogun is holding a banquet, so that's all the geishas being invited, I guess. And Robin's like, I can't wait, because obviously this was her goal of being a geisha, so she can get information about not only the samurai that can help out, but also so she can get information where a lot of people speculated the Shogun is in possession of the rogue poneglyph, and Robin, that's the reason why Robin's doing all this, to get some major information. So that's a step forward in that direction. And then we get somewhat of an introduction to Murasaki. Now, in my opinion, I think she's a lot taller than makes it seem, because we don't get to see a full design. We just see a close-up of her mouth, and that's it. Kotsan, and then we see two guards with her, and we see another, I believe it's another female, talking to Toko. I was worried, and she says, "My Toko, I was worried," and then, "I'm so sorry, sister." So are she like referring to her as an actual blood sister, or is that just like a gag, like with Tama saying "big bro Luffy," right? So is that another gag here, or is that legit? Like this Kumurasaki is pretty much the sister of this Toko. But we only get a close up of her mouth. I don't think we do see one girl. I don't think that's her, just because if it is, that's kind of like a letdown, considering how she was being hacked up as being nothing more than the goddess. In my opinion, the only goddess in this chapter was Robin, but she's personally been invited to Orochi. Theory about this, and I'll get into it by the end of this review. But we go over to where Kirishira is in the Flower Capital District, and we see a tower. And I love the layout, more in the layout when it comes to the Flower Capital. Obviously, Oda's having a blast with these designs. Obviously, his influence from Japan. And then the sober guy beat ya all up. Yes, he was so strong. A contact with the queen. The Shogun Orochi summoned me to his banquet. So Kirishiro is also, like I said, it's also attending this banquet also. So if Sanji is there, because number one, he may be preparing food for this, just two is obviously involving girls, so he's going to be there anyway. So this could end up into a fight, and much like Zoro, going to be the one to fight Shutamaru, aka Ajra Doji, at some point, and maybe he's going to be the one to influence and some respect to Shutamaru to actually aid the samurai in the war against Kaido and the Shogun Orochi. I think that's why this is going to go with Kirishiro. Like Sanji's going to be the one to fight him, because why else would they have Kirishiro's boys interact with Sanji the way they did? So have him send out his assassins. Now, is he referencing Orochi, or is it referencing himself? Have him send out his assassins, but is that going to get Sanji a fight with these assassins and possibly Kirishiro? And then we get to the Flower Capital. We actually see the palace that we've been seeing ever since we got the introduction to Wano. It's spotlighted throughout the got here. So we see the bonsai tree in the background. Then you see the tower, and then we see inside of the tower for the first time, and we see someone talking to Orochi. It's like the court son is on her way here. I see. So Komurasaki, today I will have you. So does that referencing? Does he want her for his wife, or does he want her as a servant? You know, there's a lot of things that can mean. Why is it so important for this Shogun Orochi to have someone like Komurasaki, who's just been introduced partially as nothing? So I got some speculations about this, but we clearly see the silhouette of a serpent, the 8-headed serpent of Orochi. So the theories are there. My question is this though: since we know Orochi is pretty much a fixated on an 8-headed serpent or an 8-headed snake, does this mean the Orochi is pretty much a Zoan type devil fruit user? Because I'm pretty sure that's not his form. In fact, I have my speculations. I'm sticking to my guns here. I think that's the same. This Shogun Orochi's design is the same one we see in the very first visual when we got it introduced in Kyoto last year. Now, there's something else I kind of forgot to mention, and it pertains to the latest volume when it comes to One Piece in Japan. It's been revealed. The color schemes for the Straw Hats are there. When it comes to Atama having purple hair, one character I noticed was absent. We saw Zoro, we saw Usopp, we saw Franky, we saw Robin, and we saw Luffy and Nami, right? But one character we did not see is Okiku, and I'm wondering why that is. Is Oda trying to hide the color scheme for some? Because maybe we've seen this character in the visual. If not, then like I said, I'm sticking to my guns here. I personally think that the girl we see two characters, right? One blonde character that I theorize could be the Shogun. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then we see another girl that kind of look like Okiku, but we haven't seen the color scheme, so I'm not too sure on that. Until we get the full design of this Komurasaki, I'm going with my gut instinct. I think this could be the Komurasaki we see in the visual that we saw before one even began in the event. I'm going to go on a limb here and say, because of the mouth of the close-up, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that maybe Komurasaki from the get-go. So maybe that's what this is referencing all along. So, I don't know. And I do have another theory about this when it comes to Komurasaki. Now, the fact that we're getting introduced to these two now, listen, I have a theory about this Komurasaki. I personally think, now I could be dead wrong on this, and maybe I am, but I'm going to go on a limb here. I think she's either two people. Either one, she's Lady Hiyori, or she could be Lady Toki, that we saw in the flashback that was given to us by Kinemon about Odin. So that's what I personally think that could be the case. By the way, passed out from a beauty, so Sanji's going to be another one that's passed out, because if he's attending, you can guarantee the same thing's going to happen. But I've got my hunch that maybe this Komurasaki, maybe either Lady Hiyori, who a lot of people speculate she's still alive, because we never got the full design. They were both silhouetted, and I wondered why. So that we've seen so far. Feeling about this, and this could put Robin in a lot of danger, because obviously we know the Shogun Orochi, he's treacherous, he's scared about the samurai, And obviously, Robin's going to get close so she can get to the poneglyph. I don't know if it's going to go that smoothly, but we'll see. Unfortunately, we have 2 weeks to wait because we're on break next week. Much like we had no episode of One Piece last weekend, we have no chapter of One Piece next week. So, but when we get back, we're going to get the introduction, the full introduction to the show, finally, of the Shogun Orochi, which I'm surprised that we haven't seen him yet. In fact, we actually got the first clash between Luffy and Kaido before we got the introduction to the Shogun, which I find very ironic. And again, I'm sticking with what I said. I personally think the Shogun Orochi, it has to be, it may be the guy we see on the visual and even began last year. That's just my honest gut feeling. I could be wrong, but let me know what you guys think down below. Robin could be in trouble, but either way, she's going to be attending alongside, I guess, Komurosaki is going to be fully introduced. And we now know Shogun Orochi could be a Zoan type, so let me know what you guys think down below. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Like this review if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Bye.